Greetings, beautiful people. Sanchia Divine here. And I just wanted to come to you to give a quick reminder that Mercury has moved out of its retrograde period today, August 11th. All right. So, out of the four planets that we had in retrograde and the comet Chiron, we now have Mercury moving direct. Okay. So, yeah, take this period now to reflect on the things that came up for you, the second chances, right? The opportunities for the new beginnings that you were given during this Mercury period, and reflect on those things. But it's time to create your plan on how you intend on moving forward with the energies that resurfaced to teach you what you needed to learn from those experiences. All right. Now, just a little, um, precaution also to still be mindful, okay? Because even though Mercury has gone direct, it's still going to be in its shadow period for about the next 3 weeks or however long it was in retrograde in the first place. So it still has to go through its shadow period. So that just means that you just still pay attention, still be mindful, still take precautions, still be aware of any tech glitches that may occur. Um, you know, double check contracts or anything that you're signing, any permanent moves as far as maybe purchasing a home or, signing contracts, signing anything that will, you know, affect your life in a big way. Double check those things to make sure that everything is on the same page because Mercury also rules communication. So, yeah, it's just about paying attention, and of course, even during the retrogrades, we still allow our spirit to guide us into making the best decisions. The retrograde periods are just here so that we can reassess, um, you know, and remember, recalibrate, a time to step back, take a break, look within and make sure. And since it was in Leo, it's about now moving forward in the best way that is going to allow your authentic light to shine. Yes. So do all of that, right? I mean, it's nothing to be fearful about. It's just a matter of taking the necessary precautions and steps that are needed to get through the shadow phase. Okay. So I'm going to share an analogy that a friend shared a long time ago with me. Shout out to Ampu. But this is how he broke down the retrograde. So imagine now you're on a block, right? And there's a car driving down the block, right? And it's going its way, and it gets to a certain point on the block, right? And it decides to reverse. Okay? So that's the planet being in retrograde. So now this car is reversing down the block, and then you realize, oh, it's the drive by, right? So this car now starts shooting up the block, right? And it's a matter of getting out the way, like getting covered, okay, and allowing the energies to play out, right? But you got to take cover, right? Because now you're aware that there's a drive by happening outside, right? So the car's shooting up the block in reverse, all right? And now it gets back to a certain space where it was before it drove down the block, right? So now the car now puts the gear, the gear is put in drive, and now the car starts driving back up the block slowly, all right, looking to see if all bases were covered, right? Or if they got who they intended to or whatever. But the car is still driving slowly up the block and it's monitoring the block. All right. So that's the shadow period now. because now the car needs to get back to its original place that it was in before it decided to back up. So that's the shadow period. That's the planet now coming back up the block, right? Until it gets to its original spot where it was before it backed up. Okay. So once it gets past that, that's when the shadow period is over. So until it gets back to its original spot that it was in before it decided to back up the block, okay, that's the shadow. Do what you gotta do. But remember, we also still have the other planets that are in retrograde. Saturn is still in retrograde. Pluto is still in retrograde. Neptune is still in retrograde. And Chiron is still in retrograde. And it's all good because, yeah, it's still a time to kind of, reflect and recalibrate, right? However, since Mercury is that planet that kind of rules our everyday things, travel, um, communication, technology, and all those things that we kind of use every day, those outer planets are more in long phases, right? So they kind of dictate things that really that we don't really see every day. However, it takes time, right? Those are the things that take time for us to see the effects and the changes that it's made. Okay. However, since Mercury is a more immediate planet, right, affecting our everyday lives and the things we do in each moment, that's why we put such a big stress on Mercury retrogrades. But anyway, saying all that to say, Mercury's out of retrograde. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm just pulling an angel card. All right. What does the collective need to hear today, or whoever's watching? Give me a message for those people. And I pulled number 9. Yeah. Angel card 9. It's your compassion that makes you shine. You are devoted to helping the greater good and have a strong talent for speaking up for others. Your soul is most satisfied when you are being of service. I am compassionate. All right. I love this card. I love this card. It speaks to my heart. By the way, the car going up the block the first time is the first shadow period. Okay, so we have 2 shadow periods in every retrograde, right? The first shadow period happens before the retrograde actually happens. So remember when I said we have a car driving up the block? All right. So, that's the car just checking out the block and checking out where things are, right? It's checking out the position of things and where everybody's at to see if it clocks its target or whatever, right? So that's the first drive by, right? And they're scoping the block, just checking things out. All right. Then when they get to a certain part of the block, they get to the top of the block, all right, it starts going backwards. That's the actual retrograde happening. When it goes direct now and it gets back to the original place that it was at, which it backed up, that's when we're out of the second shadow period. After it's finished backing up, when it's going direct, that's the shadow period again. That's the second shadow period. And when it reaches its original spot that it was actually, now it's really going direct, right? Because it's going past the spot that it actually started its backup, its retrograde at. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of throw that in there. All right, y'all. And I'm being called to pull another card for the collective because that first card, the 9, was for me because the card had already fell and made itself known before I requested it to be for the collective or whoever's watching this, right? So I'm asking Divine Spirit to give me angel numbers. I'm asking the angels, the archangels, divine archangels, to please share any cards, share any numbers, angel numbers that may be for whoever's watching this. All right, what do they need to hear at this time? Divine Spirit. We're pulling this for the collective. All right, this card flipped over, so I'm gonna go with that, and it made itself shown to me. Number 88. All right. Hey, hey, hey. I love it. You are on the cusp of a prosperous and abundant spiritual life. You will find numerous opportunities for success and achievement, all of which bring financial and material abundance into your life. I am wealthy. Hey, 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 hey. Here we go. Look. All right. So there you go. All right. All right. All right. I'm going to talk to y'all soon for real, though. Peace, love, and light, y'all.